Stop the clock. Take time out.
Time to refocus before...
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Player Display. You ready for this? Bonesaw is ready for this. This is probably what is going to be known as the greatest Hasbro moment of 2023, being the Hasbro Pulse exclusive... The Spider-Man No Way Home Peter Parker Spider-Man 3-pack? Can we call it that for now, I suppose? Because we've seen 3 Spider-Men over the past 3 decades? Is that? Yeah, 3 decades. That seems about right. And of course, this contains your Tobey Maguire, your Tom Holland, and your Andrew Garfield. So this is going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to open this. I know that everyone and their great Aunt May has already done a review on this pack, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to get a whole bunch of different perspectives. That's why all these various different reviews of the same toys are so valuable. As for me, I'm going to be doing a straight up unboxing. We're probably going to go through each figure pretty quickly. I mean, it really just boils down to aesthetics and articulation. It's a Spider-Man figure, ultimately. We pretty much know what's going on. So let's go ahead and start with taking a look at this green packaging, which is absolutely beautiful. I love this really sexy image of all 3 Peters together. Of course, before we had actual product shots of them, we just kind of had the CGI renders. There was no shading, no lighting, and we were curious if there's going to be any bonus accessories. Unfortunately, not as much as we were hoping for, but regardless, oh man, the box is striking. This is going to be one of those few cases where I might actually leave the box intact instead of taking it apart. Off to the side, we have another image of all 3 Parkers, this time a little bit more of an artist rendition, less so a picture of the figures themselves. Same off to the side, different image, again an artist rendering. On the top, more of the Tom Holland style Spidey logo. And off to the back, here are the more CGI looking shots of them, a little more sparkly than they should be. And then we also have the various accessories that they come with, which again, we'll breeze through a little bit quickly because we pretty much know what we're getting into. Off to the bottom, you know who else we got to bring into the fold here with the Hasbro box?
Green Arrow.
Aslan.
C.
U. Canada.
21.
EAC.
And even though this would be a really weird crossover, we still have...
I am Superman.
Alright. I haven't seen many people do unboxings of these 3 guys, so we're going to go ahead and do that with our good old pal Betsy over here. And see what this very big green packaging looks like on the inside. So it looks like it's your basic tab on this side over here. I imagine it's the same on the other side. You just pick your favorite and give it a little slit. Go ahead and get that tab open right there. Should fold right open like a shoebox. Damn, this thing does not want to leave home. That's stupid, I'm sorry. There we go, okay, yeah, just gotta hit this one. It's open. Huh, even though it's just cardboard, it's packed really interestingly. You this, and yeah, you flip it open, then you get all your little, hey, back to body bags, right? Yeah! So it looks like we got 3 baggies for the hands for each of the Spider-Men. We have this one, which must be the webs, of course. And I think... No, oh, right then. Let's just put that away. Let's see. Pull that tab out, as well as this one over here. Flip that up. And then we have 1 body bag, 2 body bag, 3 body bag. Now here are all 3 Peters, being Peter 1, Peter 2, and Peter 3 out of packaging. And there's no way I can express how good this is, but there is a sound effect. This thing, oh man, all 3 of these are absolutely remarkable. I mean, this basically kills every single Spidey itch, or tingle rather, that one could possibly have for their shelf. If you were born in the 2000s like me, well, technically 99, but you know, kind of spills over, then obviously Tobey is going to hit a big nostalgia factor for you. But if you're also like me and you prefer the underrated Spider-Man, then Andrew Garfield, he's going to be way hiked up there. But at the same time, if you love the MCU, unlike me, even though I'm still a big Spidey buff, then hey, you got your Tom Holland again. And this review in general is just going to be a little bit flippy-floppy from the usual format, just because we have 3 figures, 1's familiar, 2 are kind of new and old at the same time, very weirdly. So let's go ahead and just look at these figures as they are, then we'll do a closer inspection of them after we just dip down and then just cover all the accessories at once. All of them come with 2 whipping hands, 2 fists, and 2 open hands, although oddly enough, Tobey came with the fists, Tom came with the open, and then Andrew came with a fist and an open. So I don't know why they vary across them, but big deal. They're all the same hands, all of them hinge in and out. So yeah, all the accessories are great. And of course, you have 3 identical webbing accessories that are done in a really well done translucent plastic, which I was actually not expecting. This surprised me for some reason. It's just nice to have it straight out. It's very malleable. I feel like there's a lot more things that you could do with these. So I'm very pleased to have them. So let's just go in order of the way they name themselves and start with Peter 1. So as I've mentioned in previous reviews, I am not a big MCU guy, but whenever it comes to Spider-Man, that overrides everything. That being said, even though Tom Holland is not my favorite iteration of our favorite web slinger, he's still pretty damn great in terms of looks, and in terms of story, I feel like I like him more with each installment that we get in his arc. And of course, No Way Home was the absolute pinnacle of that, and that helped because of the 2 elder Spider-Men who we'll be looking at very soon. Obviously, by now, if you haven't seen the movie, pause right now and watch it, because why the hell else would you be here? But yeah, again, this is all reused, so we're not going to spend too much time on him. But yeah, you can see we've got a now painted-in webbing, which we did not have before. As we will see when I do a quick little comparison, I did some Gundam marker work on the initial release that we got. I don't know what I'll do with that one. I'll probably custom paint him into something. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas of what to do with the old integrated suit Spidey, in terms of paint work or just retooling to make him something a little bit more interesting, so we don't just have 2 of them, right? Get your classic mask, and then you also have this very beautiful nanotech golden Spidey logo on the chest, and then also branches over to the back, and it's very well done, very Tony Stark looking as it should be. You also have some very nice looking navy blue or black. I can't really tell what color that is, but it's very beautiful regardless. You also have his 2 gauntlets, which are a little bit repainted. We'll have a little look at that. You also have some basic pants, and then you also have some not really shoes, but you know, like basically all this is spandex, and then you got the more beefed out gloving portions for the rest of the feet. Now let's go ahead and pull in the old release versus the new one. I think they're a year apart, but I think they are exactly the same sculpt, although this version definitely came with more accessories, more hands, and of course the webs. The only difference between this one and how he came out of box is that I traced in all the webs with a Gundam marker, as I mentioned. So, I don't know, they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I think I prefer the overall color palette of the new version, but I prefer my custom webbing work on the old. So really I could go either way. I feel like maybe the gold and the blue are definitely better than the initial release, but I think the initial release one has better executed gauntlets. You can see there is a lot of paint slop on those little gem portions, whatever you like to call them. Then again, same with this one over here, so that's something I'll go in and correct. Odds are what I'll do is, since those are floating pieces, I'll probably just take these, put them over here. You can really go any way you like. It's nice that they're very modular, as is all of Tom's suits, so that kind of makes sense. Off to the back, pretty much the same things as I've just discussed. Perhaps the paintwork's a little bit more muddy in terms of the gold on the first release. On the new one, though, it looks a lot more clean. Very good. Down to the boots. Boots are boots. I say it again. We'll just speed through articulation really quick because, again, we've seen this guy technically twice before if you consider the black and gold variant, which I do not have. I'll think about getting him one day. But you do have tilt, you have forward, back, swivel, and I think that is a dumbbell joint in there. Oop, you see there's a little gap, there's an extra mold piece right there, so be careful with that. Don't get too crazy. As for the arms, you got some butterflies, you got some out to about 90, back in, swivel, double jointed, pinless elbows. Everything's pinless across all these guys, by the way. That one's a little stiff. There we go, you just gotta pop that. Swivel at the wrists. Again, all the hands that we have across all three figures are out and in. As for the abs, you gotta crunch that much forward, That much back, very good. Waist swivel, legs kick out 90, they kick back, not a ton, they V out at the butt, as we've been seeing with most figures recently. Swivel at the thigh, got double jointed knees, which are, again, pinless. Crack that a little bit, there we go. I haven't tested every single joint on these figures yet. Got that much back on the ankles, that much forward, and then, of course, you got some rocker. Sweet Peter, even though he's not my favorite, he's slowly growing on me. I hope we see him again. And now we move on to our favorite, beloved, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from the 2000s. Wait, I'm not playing Nickelback in my head. Are you playing Nickelback in your head? I'm not playing Nickelback in my head. And of course, he is as portrayed by the lovely Tobey Maguire. Well, lovely in the movies. In real life, he's a little tough. But oh man, I wanted a figure like this for many, many years. I speak on behalf of many, especially since he was one of the very first Spider-Men we got when Marvel Legends was starting, and those figures haven't aged particularly great. I do have a few examples that will bring in for size comparisons, although I do not have a Tobey Spider-Man as part of that collection, interestingly enough. Anyways, I'll shut up, and I'm going to try and hold back on the memes and just get right into the figure. I was a little bit weary of the face sculpt in terms of the webbing, but it seems like overall it's pretty well painted. It's a little bit sloppy at spots. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, it's just a very complex and interesting design, the Sam Raimi suit, but from a distance, everything blends in pretty well. It reflects very good. And I was also worried that the lower webbing might come off as almost like a grin, kind of. I hate that I said that, because I feel like when you say that, you can't unsee it. But regardless, it is Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It's pretty evident. He also has those very classic, more narrow eyes, which I really do adore. That 2000 Spidey logo, you can't not love that. Continuing with that raised webbing. I think, does Andrew have that? Yeah, Andrew also has raised webbing, but on Tobey, it's a little bit more pronounced. Off to the back, you got more of the blue, and of course spanning down to the arms, you got the fists. I mean, come on, look at them. Everything here is really beautifully executed. And one last thing I'll mention is that if you look very closely at the blue, they did not shortchange you. It is actually textured, which I love a lot. And we'll also go ahead and just jump right into articulation. That much forward, that much back, little bit of tilt. This is all new mold, that's why we're going over this. Got some butterfly, got a swivel all the way around for the shoulders, bicep swivel, elbow joints, crunch all the way in, all the way back. Talked about hands. They swivel fine at this joint that's a little different from the Holland, right? Yeah, the Holland did not have this ball joint up here. Peter 2 and Peter 3, they have an additional joint going on in the torso, being just under the pec. So you have a ball joint that allows for some swivel, a little bit in, a little bit back. But of course, it escalates further with that additional ab crunch. It goes like full Exorcist 90 going back. And then pretty much same going forward. Oh, he looks really sad. I'm sorry. You do have a pretty good leg movement. You got not a whole ton out, but then again, he is the older Spider-Man of them all. Kind of yanked out of retirement, right? So it's okay if he doesn't move as much, at least for me. Going back, not a ton. Going forward, just fine, I think. Swivel at the thigh. As for the knees, wow, they're a little stiff, but yeah, they crunch all the way in. There's no calf swivel, but you do have that much back in the ankles, that much forward, and once again, traditional rocker. I don't think we need to worry about rocker too much in modern Marvel Legends, right? And even though Tobey Maguire is the Spider-Man I did grow up with, and he is the first thing to come to my mind whenever Spider-Man is mentioned, Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man. I know I'm a minority, but even since the original movies, I just found him the most relatable. Especially since I revisited the movies during my college days, and I just felt myself connecting with him a lot more. He's not the traditional Spider-Man, and that's probably why he's the least favorite for many, but for me, that's why he works so well. I'm gonna go on a brief little rant here. You can skip past this if you like. Like, for me, he is not the goody two-shoes Spider-Man. He is the one who is very selfish, very self-centered, and he suffers the most because of that. He loses Gwen, he loses her father, he loses, of course, Uncle Ben. He is extremely arrogant and naive, and that causes him to make the most mistakes out of all the Spider-Men that we've seen thus far, in my opinion. I mean, I guess Tom Holland, he loses everyone, but that's okay because nobody remembers him. But for Andrew, it's more personal because once a consequence is dealt, that cannot be rewritten. Know what I mean? I don't know. There's just something about him that sticks with me a lot more. Especially when you talk about the movies, like TASM 1, if I may call it that, that was his dark, grim reality. As for TASM 2, a movie which I also love a lot, that is the reality that he planted on top. That was like the overlay on top of the world we saw in TASM 1. Then when Gwen died, everything reverted back to that very grim atmosphere that was the truth. Then again, that's probably not what the movies were aiming for. They probably weren't trying to be as artistic as I appraise them to being. But for me, they do come together to be a really awesome duology. Of course, they had their faults. I'll say that. But I do adore those movies. And I love Andrew Garfield in everything he shows up in. Especially as Spider-Man. I'm glad he got a third outing as the Webhead. Speaking of Webhead, let's go ahead and look at just that. We have this very beautifully executed profile. We have seen this design done in a number of lines before. We have the Mafex version, which I actually do have on hand. We will do a comparison. But yeah, I feel like they did all the colors just right. Again, you have raised webbing, this time a little bit lower than Maguire, but not sunken in or entrenched, or whatever word you'd like to say, like Holland. So it is a little bit more subtle, but it works beautifully. You can also see that the paint is a little bit more glistening, and that is something that has been a concern for me and for many. Like, is he going to be too matte? Is he going to be too glossy? Because definitely in the movies, he was a little bit more shimmery than the other two Peters. So I am glad with this balance. I'm very satisfied with it. It's not so metallic that he feels like he's made of iron or anything. It's definitely comes off as a silky cloth, which I adore. You also have that extended spider logo, which I think is very underrated. I really love how you have those back legs kind of traced all the way down to distinguish him a little bit more. Then you have the same logo on the back, this time in your classic red, looking really sharp and well painted. I'm not seeing much slop at all. A little dot of red there, but I mean, that's an easy fix, and from a distance, not too noticeable. Down to the legs, more of that blue. Again, they textured the blue, and I think all three of these... Oh, no, not on the Holland. That's pretty much flat for the most part, but for the other Peters, yeah, it's pretty much done just right. Down to the shoes, or the feet, or whatever you want to call them, looking very good. As for the articulation, pretty much the exact same thing as Tobey Maguire. Both sculpts were made at the same time, therefore they have the same modern engineering. That much down, that much back, swivel. Swivel all the way around shoulders. They come out to past 90 without having to rotate the shoulder. That's awesome. Butterfly joint, swivel at the bicep, double jointed elbows. Talked about hands, same ball joint that swivels and comes down, holding the ab crunch in place. Not a whole ton forward, a pretty good amount back though. But when you utilize the crunch, it goes way back and way forward. You also have no swivel at the waist, again, that's up here. Then you have swivel at the thighs, kick out that much at the legs and back. Forward to, is that past 90? No, it's pretty much 90. Back, again, these out at the butt, not a huge deal. Knees, full crunch, no calf swivel, but you do have forward. Well, this is back, but back and forward, and then rocker. Oh, man, I love this figure. Excellent, excellent. Definitely my favorite of the three. And holy crap, I almost forgot to mention he has the web shooters right there. Looking very beautiful. Obviously, for Holland, you have the gauntlets, and for Maguire, as heavily asserted in the film, it comes right out of his wrist, so he does not have any. If you're against the art of customizing, for whatever reason, you may want to avert your eyes, because I brought in two figures from the original waves of Marvel Legends on the left and the right. Over here, we have Willem Dafoe's Goblin retooled and repainted, and he scales very well with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, although I do wish we'd get a Marvel Legends modern version of Goblin, along with all the other villains that we've seen, not only in No Way Home, but for everyone else's respective movies. Like, it'd be great to get a TASM 2 version of Electro that's not a piece of crap. And, of course, we also want more villains from the Maguire Rogues Gallery. Speaking of his Rogues Gallery, we also have the original Marvel Legends quote-unquote super articulated Venom, also repainted with Molotov chrome. And of course, everyone, I think, when reflecting back on the films, they look at this new body mold and they want to see him emblazoned in black. I mean, come on, everybody wants to look at this figure and just go... Now let's swing on over to the Amazing Spider-Man territory. On the left, we have Electro from TASM 2. Of course, as you could tell, very, very repainted because the base body is crap, mega crap.
I'll give you $200 for all of them.
And on the right, we actually have the Mafex version of Spider-Man as he appeared in the same film. And you can see what I mean when I was talking about the shininess of Garfield's suit. And you can see this one, which came out during the same time as the movie. He is very, very metal looking. He's a little bit too shiny for what should be otherwise a very silky looking suit. And over here, I think they got the balance just right. It's also worth mentioning that the eyes are repainted because the execution of the eyes was not good. And also, look how floppy this dude is. The joints are horrible. This guy is very well loved. Although, I think this guy, yeah, he's going to take his place on the shelf. But I'm still going to keep this one too. Let's drop up size comparisons with some figures that are a little bit more recent. Over here we have the retro-carded version of Symbiote Spider-Man, who is, as you could tell, a little bit on the taller side, probably more attuned with Garfield than the other two. And we also have the also retro-carded 90s animated series, Gwen Stacy. I'm hoping that perhaps someone has engineered a 3D printed Emma Stone mold that you could swap with this head. I'm crap with human faces, but it would be really cool to see these two side by side. That'd be some great photo ops. But naturally, every size comparison concludes with only one solution, being Star Wars The Black Series Muck Muck.
Holy crap, so all of you are spider people?
Yeah, it's pretty much what I do, man. It's the city, you know?
How'd you get your powers?
I was kind of following a girl and I got bit by a spider in a lab.
Funny, Junior, I did that just before you, years ago, exactly the same.
Whoa, you guys had a lab? My powers, I kinda just got them. I don't really know how. Hey, so, little blue dude, what exactly are you anyways?
Oh, I'm a Kowakian monkey lizard.
Whoa, what did you just say?
Kowakian, monkey lizard. Is that a problem?
Yeah, this guy's a problem. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Oh, crap!
And that is not quite a wrap on this review, because obviously there's so much to discuss about this pack. First of all, it's, well, amazing. Let's just get that out there. It's just absolutely mind-blowing that, first of all, the movie even happened. I mean, that's something that everybody was imagining, but I don't think anybody expected that it was an actual tangible thing that could occur. You had Spider-Man that influenced so many different generations over the span of about 2 decades, and now we got them all in one movie. Honestly, the movie, it's a lot of fun. The story is actually very nonsensical and has a bunch of plot holes and stuff in it. But oh man, all the interactions between the 3 Spider-Men in the second and third act was absolute cream cheese. It was, why am I saying cream cheese? It was absolute pizza. Can I call it that? Yeah, I think that works. That works. No one's gonna complain. The movie overall, as messy as it was so much fun. And now that we got the figures, oh man, that leaves us not only very happy with the 3 of them, but also demanding so much more. First of all, we want the villains from No Way Home. I mean, we got Electro back, we got Norman Osborn back, we got Ock, we got the smorgasbord of the greats from the Spidey Cinematic Rogues Gallery, and we want to see more of them. Also, I'm concerned about the folks who were not able to get this exclusive, because it's definitely not cheap, and I wouldn't say it's worth what was paid for it, especially since, I mean, everyone wanted photo likenesses of each of the 3 actors, those alternate portraits, but naturally it didn't happen because of right issues. For me, not a huge deal, because I'm pretty sure that when I put them on the shelf, they're more than likely going to be masked anyways, doing their action and everything. But still, I mean, when we put those pre-orders in, we were hoping that we'd get unmasked heads, and obviously the pointy fingers, and we didn't get those. But still, all 3 of them really are magnetic and incredible to look at, and for some of us, extremely nostalgic. Regardless of what movies you prefer, regardless of what actor you prefer, just seeing all 3 of them together is just so much fun, and there's so many different posing options that we could do here. So that's pretty much a wrap. I love this pack. I am concerned for the folks who weren't able to get it because I don't know if they're going to do single releases of Maguire or Garfield down the road. Hopefully they do. But if you did get your hands on them, then I think you're going to be very satisfied. So enjoy it if you got it. If you didn't get it, go on Hasbro Pulse. Check that they're still in stock because I think once these guys dispatched, the pre-orders went back up. So definitely have a look if you're still into them. And if you're not able to get a hold of them, I say I'd put my money on them coming back in the future as single releases. I mean, especially since they're under the Disney banner and they own all the Spidey movies now on Disney Plus and whatever. Like, obviously, for Maguire, not only can he return with photoreal, but you could also see him in the symbiote suit, which I think everybody loves. As for Garfield, I really want them to do the Vigilante and TASM 1 suits, which we have not seen in Marvel Legends. I think that would be great. As for Holland, again, we've seen many variants of him before, but this is another chance to get him, this time with webbing, if you don't prefer to custom do your own, which is totally okay. In this case, I think they did a fine job, even though I prefer this one a little bit more. If you enjoyed this review, then please, as per usual, be sure to like, comment,
And subscribe.
Suffer the little children.
Thank you guys so much for watching, rock on, and I will see you all later. Maguire and Garfield. It gets so confusing. If I botch up the names as we go, please forgive me. Actually, when I first saw these web shooters in the first Garfield movie, I was taken aback because I was still a kid. I did not know that Spider-Man originally had engineered webbing that he built himself. I just thought that in the Raimi movies, that's just how he was. That's just how the webs came out. And I saw the web shooters here, and I thought they were the weirdest things. So for me, it was kind of inverted. I imagine, like, veterans of Spider-Man lore going in to see those first Maguire movies were like, what the hell, organic webbing? That's so odd. But that was my reaction to these, and now I've kind of fallen in love with them over time, and I'm like, oh, this is what they're supposed to be. And then, of course, when it comes to Holland, he kind of gets different web shooters and a whole bunch of crazy gizmos on behalf of Iron Man. But yeah, anyways, I don't know. That's just kind of a neat little inverted perspective on how I view web shooters. I don't know. Just kind of weird and kind of fun. Spider-Man's fun. We love Spider-Man. Spider-Man loves Spider-Man. All three Spider-Men love Spider-Man. As for the other two, obviously we wanted... Oh, bye. My back! I'm still going to think about what I'll do here in terms of swapping out the parts.
Oh, my leg!
Damn it, Maguire. Get a chiropractor.
What are you waiting for? Chinese New Year? Go, go!